Let's talk herd.
But once I did that treatment, I started to incorporate it with some non-force and low force adjustments with horses. It was prior to learning the structurals in 2008 is when I learned how to do more structural adjusting with horses, dogs, and cats. But ever since then, it's always been incorporated. The horses just know I'll open a bottle of oil and several bottles, and they know which ones they need. They'll just kind of sniff it out or turn their head away, and they seem to know. When I work with a horse regularly, they'll move forward or backward, and just to kind of say, hey, look here, I've got some issues here, just in case you may have missed it, And so I pay attention and definitely listen.
Yeah.
But it's not just with individuals. It's also, I would go to Virginia's ranch to Spirits Whisper Acres, and I would just essentially walk to the paddock and I'd say, okay, who needs work today? And I would just trust that, essentially trusting in the universe that I would be able to provide what they need, and that they would know if they needed help or not. And it was just a beautiful collaboration between myself and Virginia and the herd, the cats, the dogs. It's the entire, it's like a microcosm, the way everything interacts, growing the hay on the farm and baling the hay, being part of all of that happens there just really makes you appreciate the entire process of healthy balance in that particular ecosystem. It's a beautiful, I don't know, it's like the universe orchestrates this beautiful symphony of healing and adventure, because there's always an adventure. But that, I don't know, just it brings out depth from your soul and happiness in your heart, and your physical body's healthier too, just for interacting.
It feels like they show you, just because they are able to be source, direct, and the direct expression of energy without mind, without thoughts, like created thoughts getting in the way. And it's really, and it is accepting the whole thing. Because when you were talking about how the dogs and the cats are involved as well, that made me think of, for a while I was going out to see the horses at dusk. I haven't done it recently for a while, but I just, at a certain point, it felt like that time was really powerful energetically. But every time I went down at that time of night, one of our little cats would come with me as well. And she would come, she'd come all across, she'd come as far as it took to go and find the herd. And she, for a long time, she didn't even live at the house. She lived out in nature. She was the more timid one of the two kitties, but she just had to be there every time, and it was amazing. Like, she was, there was something, it felt like she was just looking after me, just kind of being some kind of support. And when you were talking, it just about the breathing and the way the horses came, it does feel like sometimes you just harmonize in some way, and they just respond. It's so instant. the way that they, like, I remember one time I don't know why, I don't know what was different, but I just felt like my heart really opened in a way that it hadn't ever done, really. And I just felt this love that was so huge. And I was just in the barn, and one of the horses that's the most, I'd say he's probably the most reserved, because, and he has had some, not very nice experiences of people in the past. And he just came up and he was so
Okay.
friendly. Like, I don't remember him ever being just so, he just wanted to, he just wanted to just cuddle and be there. And then the others were coming, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. And then, of course, you try to, as a human, you try to kind of, bookmark it and note it down, and it doesn't work like that, because,
No, it doesn't.
you might never be. No, you just have to sort of accept that that happened that day. But yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable how
Mm-hmm.
instant their response can be. And I think it's because they're just so there. For them, it's not just, subtle feelings or even powerful feelings. It's just kind of how the world is. Maybe they don't, because you know how we're all translators of vibration and
Yes.
vibrational energy, and we sort of see things that we've um, almost made a kind of arrangement in a way with society, that's what they are, different objects and things. And I wonder if horses do that in the same way. Maybe they're a little bit closer to the root and they don't translate energy in the same way that we do. So maybe the world isn't quite so solid for them, and they see, I do feel like they really see things that have happened,
Hmm.
energy shapes. If something's happened, it's like there's traces left there, and they're, yeah, they're like aware of that.
I agree, and I think that's why they make that's why in with equine therapy there are just so many different variations of it, but
Yeah,
it really
yeah.
is. I never really thought of things that way because when you look into a horse's eyes, there's a depth. There's
Mm,
a depth that they have that it pulls you in and it almost
yeah,
embraces you, and then it's it's a transformational moment when you connect with a horse
yeah.
in that way, or in any way really,
Mm,
just to be in their presence. They're truly magnificent animals. I mean, of course, all 4 feet are on the ground, so they're grounded. But I never thought of how they might see or translate their surroundings or energy. But they definitely feel it
yeah,
instantaneously. It's an
yeah,
instant, and it's very evident.
yeah. I mean, there is, I think there's so much in that,
Fascinating.
yeah, in that world that we don't really, we don't, yeah, we're just kind of beginners in, in all of that. So do you, when you're using the oils, do you put them on the horses? Because I've heard of this. Oh, it's got a funny name and I'm probably not going to pronounce it properly. It's something like zoopharmacognosy or something. Like, it's a way of using essential oils that, um, as a healing modality, but not, I don't, it's not putting them on them, it's just letting them smell, like breathe them in essentially. And it's, there's a woman who developed it. I can't remember her name right now. And she does courses, and it's so fascinating. I think she does it with those kind of animals that it's difficult to offer them healing in other ways. And it just, oh, it's amazing. Like some of her stories of things that have healed just from inhaling basically these essential oils. So yeah, have you heard of that?
I have not heard of that, but I am fascinated because, well, and it makes sense, no pun intended, but that first, our sense of smell, there is only one synapse between that olfactory nerve and your ability to smell. It goes
Wow.
right into your limbic system, which is
Wow.
your seat of emotion,
That's amazing.
and it can those molecules then it really is because the fastest way to get any sort of an emotional shift, in my opinion, is through inhalation
Wow.
of the essential oils. You so that makes sense to me that can make a difference. However, I have found that when so you asked if I apply essential oils to them or if I
Hmm.
just use that as a sense of smell,
Yeah.
but it can be used either way. And
Okay.
I do actually, if the horse or dog or not always cats, cats are mainly just I'll have them just inhale the aroma,
Yeah.
but if I do apply an essential oil to a horse, I'll start with one drop. I always start with one drop. First, I let them choose the oil, and I always have something close at hand to dilute the oil. So you
Yeah.
never want to use water. You always want to be safe. You would have to use something that's fat based, maybe almond oil, coconut oil, something that is also high quality. If you ever needed to dilute it, and I think if somebody were first starting out, then definitely always dilute the oils because you need to know what to look for if they're not responding well.
Ah.
But I think, and then there are also times that I'll work with the owner, and I might apply the oil or do an adjustment on the owner, on the person, and it affects the horse. And there have been times where it's that dance where I'll work with the horse, I'll work with the caregiver, and because they ride, the owner rides their horse, their
Wow.
spines are in direct contact with one another. So of course they'll either grow together or they will intensify that pattern that they have within their nervous system. And so it makes sense to
Wow.
me to work with both the horse as well as the person in order to allow a harmonious, balanced growth between horse and rider. It's so much fun. So sometimes I'll apply the oil to the person. Sometimes I'll apply the oil to the horse. It's
Yeah.
always an
I love that.
individual. There's never a cookie cutter way of doing things. Everything I do is personalized and individualized with the approach and the
That's amazing.
treatment. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and it's just an honor. It's always an honor to work with people because I don't do the healing. I'm merely a facilitator and I just look for, what will help, what do I what how can I help? How can I help these people heal? What is it that they need? And then I just ask the universe or God, please guide me. Guide me so that my actions
Mm.
are true to myself, true to these individuals, and that it makes their lives better and the world a better place. It's it's an honor to be able to
Wow.
do this type of work.
Yeah. I love the way you talk about that interchange between the the guardians and their animals, because I feel that that's really important. that it really is that the whole relationship. And I feel like I've moved more towards that in what I do as well, because it always felt very stifling in a way when it was just, there was this focus on getting the horse right, because often the intention behind that wasn't very authentic, or maybe not, maybe authentic isn't the right word, but it wasn't truly about the horse's well being, the horse right, so that they could perform better, which
Right.
I think that if you're honest about that, then that is, you can't say it's wrong. It's just, but it felt, even in that, I think it should be, or ideally it involves the whole partnership, because it's not always just about, what's outside of
Right.
ourselves. And I think, like you say, it's just so interlinked, and yeah, it's so powerful, so much more powerful to involve the dynamic between. And sometimes I would notice that when I was treating a horse, it would be affecting their guardian as well. They would sometimes really feel it. And I remember there was one horse that I used to treat in Scotland, and um, his owner was or his guardian, I prefer to say,
I like that better too. I like that you say guardian.
was she was a lecturer at the local university, and she was always exhausted because she always worked like incredibly hard, and she was doing lectures all day, and then she would ride her horse at 11 o'clock at night or something crazy like that.
Wow.
And so when we did the sessions, she was exhausted and she would lie down in the stable and just go to sleep.
Wow.
And I can remember when I was doing it, I would just, I mean, I didn't really have much experience at all then, but I would just feel like I was including her as well. It felt like that was really important. And she'd had this really fascinating story that she'd kept having this really awful accident, that she kept getting these really bad trauma, like blunt traumas to her head. One time it happened when the back door of the trailer fell on her.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I think now I might have a little bit more confidence to be able to sort of bring up that possibility of that you need to stop. You need to give yourself time and look after yourself, because you're just doing too much and you're exhausted, and the whole picture. Whereas at the time it was just, you're there to treat the horse, and.
Mm.
But I think she still took on that healing, because she just went to sleep, and it was like she had no resistance then. So she was just absorbing it. But it's so powerful what you do, because you're acknowledging that in that intellectual way.
I hope you do incorporate that with your work, because I mean, even the science, I think that, I don't know if it's called that, a tuning fork. There's like a tuning fork phenomenon where if you strike a tuning fork in one area of a room and you have a tuning fork of the same vibration within the same room but elsewhere, and you don't strike it, it will start to vibrate.
Yes.
So I think,
Yeah.
when we help someone and they regain harmony within their harmony and balance in their system, that it really does help
Yeah.
resonate, that we resonate together, and it does make a difference in
Mm.
what's happening,
Yeah.
how we feel, how we heal. And boy, after when you were talking about this woman who would go to sleep and kept having injuries and traumas, I could relate. That's how I developed Dreamweaving, and it took years, over a decade, and I think I'm finally getting it, because it's true. We have to live in a harmonious way so that what we're doing is sustainable. And I think once we get that, things go more smoothly.
Yeah.
So I hope you'll work with the people as well as the horses, because and I love that you say guardian, because the owner just doesn't feel right, because we can't take it with us, right? When we can't take anything with us, and it's an honor to be a guardian of anything, of property, of with animals, taking care of them. And it sounds like what you're doing, I can't wait to see how much you flourish, because you believe so fully in your dream, and it's coming, and it's already come to fruition. I can't wait to see how much it grows once that fire just lights up. And I think you can really make a huge difference in the world with what you're doing. Ooh, and I'm excited about your upcoming, don't you have a clinic coming up soon in April?
Yes, at the end of April. Yes. It's a 2-day.
And what will you be doing with that?
I'm doing it with another she's a good friend, and she started out we took her horses for schooling years ago, so, and she's been through a whole kind of transformative journey as well, and she's done quite a lot of equine therapy type things, and we get on really well. So we've been doing a lot of talking about it, it's really how to help people get into that receptive state where they can receive what the horse is giving, in whatever that might be, whatever there is for them to receive, really. So the first day is going to be more about what I call the direct technique, or the direct way of approaching things, where it's more about amplifying source itself. So like how to get yourself in that place of receiving, of channeling, and directly, just exercises. And we're having it so that there's some things that we do before visiting the horses, and then visiting the horses in that space, and sometimes it'll be more just allowing that to be with the horses, and then sometimes it'll be more a sort of individual, so as a group, supporting each individual interaction with the horses, so that they have and kind of there's a bit more structure to those interactions. And somebody might feel a connection with a particular horse, and then the next day is going to be more of an indirect, where you start to acknowledge some of the things that might be limiting you from reaching the source. So I think it's important to start with the amplification, so that there's a place to start. There's a place to, like, for example, visualizations, and just getting into that place to start with, before we go into all the stories, all the limitations. And so then the second day will be more about resolving whatever is preventing people from from receiving that. Yes, it's really exciting.
It sounds fantastic.
Thank you so
It
much.
sounds
Yeah.
fantastic.
But I'd love to hear more about your work and what you've been developing. Yeah, because it just sounds amazing. The holistic.
Well, it was through my own health challenges that I developed a way of identifying how to put things into place so that the essential oils work well to support whole health. But it isn't just oils, it's how we think, it's what we do, it's the supplements that we take, the food that we eat, the relationships that we hold dear.
Yeah.
It's movement. And I'm just about to publish my first book
Oh, wow.
called Holographic Tattoo. And I just kind of share my journey in that because I really had things to learn. Let's just say that. And it took me a while to do it. But I had a series of mini strokes,
Oh, wow.
and then those breast masses came and went. They were on and off. And then I had this unusual health presentations where, my cognitive abilities were almost completely gone. I could barely get out of bed for about 3 years.
Wow.
And
Oh,
I
that's so
just, every
tough.
morning I woke up, I would say, well, surely I won't wake up tomorrow, but I did wake up today. So I wonder what happens when I do this. And sometimes I made mistakes and they were very evident. And other times something would work well. So I kept the things that worked well and continued to incorporate what I learned along the way and live it. I didn't, this wasn't only reading out of a textbook. It was experiential and gaining information from science, research, textbooks, but also honoring ancient wisdom and time-tested healing that is, with traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda or, any homeopathy. I looked into indigenous teachings. I looked into everything, and I had limited resources since I couldn't work. I had to be very specific about my choices,
Yeah.
and whatever I did, it had to be sustainable. So I looked at the big picture, and I found ways to look at the poetic nature of 5-element theory that's used in traditional Chinese medicine with, fire, water, earth,
Yeah.
metal, all of these wood elements. And then I noticed that it aligned with the 11 systems within that's taught in anatomy and physiology. I
Okay.
taught at a college for 7 years, and I was fortunate to fall into a role of working with the integrative health studies program. So I had felt like I had a leg up, that the universe kind of, it put me in a place where you've learned these things, now apply them. So I did. And my journey is in the book. It was not an easy book to write because I do share the experiences that I had, but I think the take home with what I've learned is that, I'm no different than anyone else. And if my
Yeah.
body could heal, And I had difficulty taking Western medicine. I wasn't responding well to pharmaceuticals. That's why I went the holistic route, exclusively for healing modalities, but I did do the tests that I could through Western medicine. But my thought is, if I could recover my cognitive ability, my physical strength and ability, coordination, if I can regain my health, and I'm like everybody else, they should be able to do that too.
Absolutely.
And just by following these principles of looking at whole health in a different way, it's nothing new. The unique aspect is the perspective that aligns the two, saying that, hey, this is Western medicine and science is good and it's grounded and there's a lot of detail. And the ancient wisdom, the holistic healing, spirituality, that is also good. It's poetic. It's the big picture. And the two together really, truly align in a way that offers sustainable health and healing, and not just for the individual, but for everyone around. And it is amazing what the way the body can heal when we give it the right tools. It's astounding. I was amazed. Every morning I would wake up and I was like, well, I'll just keep trying. And, and, and it kept working. So I feel not just a responsibility, but it's a passion and this is bigger than me, because if my body can do this, anyone's body can do this. It's just a law of nature, and gaining the understanding of how to tap into that and align them in a way that's feasible for each individual, and something that anyone can do. I think it's my goal of seeing good health in every home. I have lofty goals. I'd like to see good health in every home and world harmony. So, but why not dream big? Even if I don't hit those things, that's okay, because maybe one person feels better.
Absolutely.
Maybe there's more peace, harmony, and love just for a moment around me. And I feel the need to do my best, to be authentic, be authentically myself, and just offer what I've learned and learn from others so that I can continue to grow as well. It's what a gift. It's definitely a gift.